Hello ladies and gentlemen, something really cool arrived in the post to me this morning, and I thought I'd share with it, or I'd share it with you. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool, and it is the Incentive Designs ID-5 impact grenade. Now it comes in the standard cardboard tube. If you've ever bought anything from Incentive Designs before, you'll be pretty used to this. So let's open it. There we go. It comes with the usual stuff. You've got your Incentive Designs contact card and your instructions, but we don't need instructions because we know what we're doing. Now, I bought this with a second magazine. I got it in both 9mm and 209 blank shotgun primers. So first, before I actually take this apart, show you the internals, show you how it works, I want to sort of just feel it. I've got average sized hands. It fits in. It's pretty heavy. I think it's about the same as a 3000 BB, or a bottle of 0.25 3000 BBs is probably a similar weight, maybe a little lighter, but similar. So if you've got one of those lying around, if you can condense that weight down, it's something like that. But, you know, even though it is heavy, it's certainly lighter than carrying 5 BFGs or 5 Oshibooms or whatever, 5 TRMRs. You know, it's lighter. So weight per bang is pretty low. I'm going to give a brief look at its size. So it's about 13.5 centimeters long, and it is about 4 centimeters in diameter. So it's actually pretty compact for what it is. There's a few things you could do to make it more compact, like bringing this down and making this smaller, the magazine screw. But other than that, everything else is pretty necessary. You need this. This bit right up here is absolutely integral to the way the black fire grenade fires, and I'll explain that to you in a second. So let's take it apart. Now, I've seen most of you, if you're interested in this, will have seen how you take the magazine off, how the magazine works. You can see here you've got your safe and you've got your 5 blanks, and again you've got your 5 blanks and your firing pin. So no chance of blanks going off if you got it in the safe position, and considering this is incredibly flush, and if you have the pin in, pretty low chance. I might give you a 2 to 5% chance of it actually going off if you drop it when it is armed but not ready to fire. So let's look at that, and yeah, so let's take the pin out, and it shows you, once you take the pin out, it pops up, and this is when it's ready to fire. And you can see it's ready to fire because you got the red indicator, the top of the grenade is out. This is actually a counterweight type of system, so I'm going to take it apart and I'll show you how it works. So when you take it apart, you'll end up with 2 pieces. You've got the top bit there, and you've got the firing pin and the firing pin guide and the spring. So basically this goes in like that, and you can see you've got the hole for the spring and the guide rod, and you've got the hole for the firing pin. I might sharpen the firing pin a little bit, but other than that, don't think I'm ever going to need to. That'll probably just dull it anyway. So yeah, it looks really solid and super simple. I mean, we're talking the AK of blank firing grenades here. You know, there's nothing to do with air pressure, there's nothing to do with anything. It's purely mechanical, and it's a really good system. So I'm going to explain that to you in a second. So here we go. Here is the fire mechanism. Let's hit the spring off. There you go. Here's the fire mechanism. So when it's armed like this, you know, it's ready to go. And once it's in this state, what happens when it hits an object is this bit here, because it's heavy, will move. what happens is it rocks, and that rocking motion will push the pin, and that will set off the grenade. And then once it's still, it'll reset itself to this position, and then it is inert, so the blank has been fired, it's not going to fire again. And the same happens when it pushes down, it'll push the pin into the blank. And super simple, really simple design. And I can only imagine it soft striking or not, detonating the blank if you kind of have a bit of a weak arm, or it doesn't make a good contact with the ground at a high enough speed to actually make this counterweight work fast enough to push the pin into the blank at a high enough velocity to set it off. So it's the only problem I could ever see happening, but I think from the looks of it in the videos, you could drop it from waist height, even knee height, and set it off. I might do a test, but I'm in a pretty built up area, so I'm not sure I want to do that outside. But I am going to be playing on Saturday, and I can do some tests then, and we'll do that. So let's take this apart even further. So we've got the firing pin half. You've got this little grub screw here which holds it all in place, and this grub screw goes through all the way to the other side of this counterweight. So I'm just going to take this off, and that should be it. There we go. Let's grub screw that. What happens is this comes out, and the spring comes out of here. I might have to stretch this a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's a particularly strong spring for the job it needs to do, but I'm going to do a test first, see how it works before I do anything. You got your 2 points here as well. So this is the point that locks the top to the top of the grenade, or the other half, and this is the other half of the firing mechanism. So it's basically these two like this, and this is pretty much the core mechanics of the grenade. And it's amazingly simple. You've got like 3 different moving parts, and I can't see anything going wrong with this very often, if at all. It's not going to do any soft striking, it's not going to do anything. And if you're having problems, then it's going to be down to the length of the firing pin rather than the actual mechanics of the system itself. But I'm sure Incentive Designs, if you're listening, maybe making a replacement firing pin part if it gets worn down, or a particular large amount of use, or you find soft striking. Selling this one separately might be a good idea. I was also thinking selling this separately, this part here, might be a nice idea, because then people could keep the core mechanics of it, but they could change out the actual cylinder, the actual colour, so they could change it. Perhaps you could run different colours, but yeah. So let's put this all back together. It's super simple. I mean, these are all the parts. Sorry, I'll bring it in. These are all the parts of the grenade. That's it. Which is quite amazing how simple it is. So let's rebuild this. I'm going to take this, stick that in the bottom, like that, and now we want to put this through here, put that in, and then we want to get the grub screw, line that up in the hole, and stick the grub screw in, tighten that partially, there we go. Just need to get that going, there we go. And this is your first half of the firing mechanism. There you go. Doesn't need to be really tight. And second half, stick the spring back on it and put that right in there. Easy to line the firing pin up there and get the rest going in. So the only problem I could potentially see is getting a bit of grime in here. Getting a little bit of grime in there, and it not having, or it having too much resistance. So that probably needs to be cleaned and lubed relatively regularly, but again, it's so easy, anyone, absolutely anyone can do it. So we'll stick the rest of it together, we'll stick the pin back in and put the magazine on, and then we'll be done. So there you go, pin, and put it in the safe position just to be safe. And that's it. That's how you take it apart. That's how it functions. Super tough, and I can't wait to use it. And when I do, I'll have another video up, and I will see how that goes. But yeah, that's sort of the review, or at least the overlook, the first impressions of the Incentive Designs ID-5 5-shot blank firing grenade. I was thinking of a possible thing they could do in the future, which would be maybe not work for 9mm, would definitely work for the 209 blanks, and that would be to thicken this a little bit, you know, put another 5mm on, and bore it through, put the same on each side, and then you'd have a 10-shot. Now, of course, the problem with this would be, if a blank goes in and it detonates, there's a lot of hot gases expelled through here, and that might set off the other blank. So what you'd need is, you'd need it to be drilled down a few millimeters, left a space, and have it ported on the side. And that means you could fit 10 blanks into one magazine. Now it would be very heavy, these are heavy magazines, you know, you wouldn't want to carry around more than that, but for a long day, that would be perfect. I'll set that on safe. That would be perfect. You know, you'd have a little bit of extra space. You might even need a slightly longer screw. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time, hopefully. Bye.